Good morning everyone. This is Kailin Kamikawa. Lie like exhaling. This is a word that accurately expresses the state of the outer road that lie plainly without any confusion. It has been almost 10 years since the Great East Japan earthquake struck on March 11, 2011. Last time, I talked about the reaction of South Korea at that time. It is true that we received warm support, and we would like to thank you again for that. However, South Korea is behind the scenes, mocking the occurrence of the tsunami caused by the earthquake as sinking Japan in a soccer game, such as hanging a banner saying, celebrating the earthquake. The Japanese can never forget that they were doing something rude. What was South Korea doing behind the scenes of the earthquake? I have been extremely annoyed, so I would like to inform you again. The following is an excerpt from WJF, Wondrous Japan Forever. March 11, 2011. A big earthquake and tsunami struck the Tohoku region. Many have died, and many have lost their families, homes, jobs and hometowns. After this disaster, American clothing maker J.Crew, as part of the Japan Support Campaign, we started selling charity t-shirts. The elegant and sophisticated design of the t-shirt, the Japanese archipelago and the words, Ganbare Japan, were printed. Many Japanese were encouraged by the design and message and thanked J.Crew. However, there were people who did not like this activity of J.Crew. I am Korean. The place name of the Sea of Japan is printed on the t-shirt. They were indignant and found that he began calling for a movement to send a large number of the following protest emails to J.Crew. In an email, Koreans threatened J.Crew and demanded that t-shirts be discontinued. Soon, J.Crew apologized to the Koreans and stopped selling campaign t-shirts. I was forced to replace it with a t-shirt that had the Sea of Japan notation removed. When many people were dying, when many people lost their families, when an American company was just trying to help the Japanese, the only thing these Koreans were concerned about was the following words. It was the Sea of Japan. This is not the only story. Koreans are always, anywhere, on TV, newspapers, magazines, books, museums, movies, etc. When I find that the name, Sea of Japan, is used, make a fierce protest and demand that the place name be changed to Tokai. In 2009, Koreans, when I found the name, Sea of Japan, used in the New York Times article, the following full-page advertisement was posted. Also, at the closing ceremony of the 2008 Beijing Olympics, a large world map was projected on the screen. The place name, Sea of Japan, was used in it. As usual, Koreans got angry with this and the South Korean government protested against China. The problem is some misunderstandings or intentional lies it is included in their claim. 1. The name Sea of Japan has nothing to do with Japan's imperialism or expansion policy. 2. Only Koreans have called the sea area between Japan and South Korea the Tokai. 3. Neither the United Nations nor the International Hydrographic Organization has so far decided to write both the Sea of Japan and the Tokai. Let's examine these facts one by one. 1. The name Sea of Japan has nothing to do with Japan's imperialism or expansion policy. Koreans called the Sea of Japan in the early 20th century. Due to Japanese lobbying with imperialist intentions, it claims to have been established as the first official name by the International Hydrographic Organization. This claim is completely false. The name Sea of Japan is 1602 by Matteo Ricci, an Italian Jesuit who was preaching in China. It first appeared in the Junxing World Map, published in Beijing. Since then, many maps using the name Sea of Japan have published by 1900 in Western countries. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs was issued by 1900, and we investigated old maps of the West stored in national libraries in the United States, Britain, France, Germany, and Russia. According to the survey, maps using the name Sea of Japan are. It turns out that Japan has been increasing since the beginning of the 19th century, when it was still isolated. Library of Congress survey period, December 2004 to March 2005. Of the 1,728 copies of the map of the relevant area published between 1300 and 1900 AD, a place name was attached to the sea area between Japan and Korea on a map of 1,435 copies. Among them, the place name, Sea of Japan, was used on 77.4% of the maps. There were only 2 copies, 0.139%, of maps using Tokai. British Library and University of Cambridge survey period, October 2002 to June 2003. Of the 458 copies of related area maps published in the 19th century, all maps had place names in the waters between Japan and Korea. Among them, the place name, Sea of Japan, was used on 86% of the maps. There was no map using Tokai. French National Library survey period, October 2003 to January 2004. Of the 1,495 copies of the map of the relevant area published from 1500 to 1900 AD, a map of 407 copies named the waters between Japan and Korea. Among them, the place name, Sea of Japan, was used on 62% of the maps. There was no map using Tokai. Berlin State Library survey period, December 2007 to March 2008. Of the 1,216 copies of related area maps published by 1900 AD, the map of 841 copies gave the place name to the sea area between Japan and Korea. Among them, the place called Sea of Japan on the map of 57.2% the name was used. Only one map used Tokai. Russian State Library and other Russian libraries survey period, November 2006 February 2007. Of the 51 copies of related area maps published by 1900 AD, 40 copies of the map gave place names to the waters between Japan and Korea. Among them, the place name, Sea of Japan, was used on 72.5% of the maps. Only 5 copies of the map used Tokai. Conclusion 1. The place name, Sea of Japan, had already been established as a general name for the area by the end of the 19th century. Therefore, it has nothing to do with Japanese imperialism or expansion policy. 2. Only Koreans have called the sea area between Japan and South Korea the Tokai. Traditionally, Koreans have referred to these areas of East Asia by the following names, Tokai, Saikai, Nankai. Because the Sea of Japan is located in the east of the Korean peninsula, the Yellow Sea is located in the west, and the East China Sea is located in the south. It can be understood that it is quite natural that Koreans have used these place names. So, like people in other countries do, if Koreans are comfortable using these local names in their own country, no problem would have occurred. The problem is that Koreans force their local place names on people all over the world. The point is that they are relentlessly planning to use it as an internationally godly place name. As stated in their New York Times ad, Koreans claim that many countries have called this sea the Tokai. This claim is also completely false. Certainly, Chinese and Vietnamese have used the same name as Koreans, Tokai. Certainly, Chinese and Vietnamese have used the same name as Koreans, Tokai. However, when the Chinese say Tokai, it refers to the East China Sea, not the Sea of Japan. Also, when Vietnamese say Tokai, it means the South China Sea, not the Sea of Japan. The name Tokai refers to the Baltic Sea. Germans, Danes, Dutch, Swedes, Norwegians, Finns, has also been used. If the name Sea of Japan was changed to East Sea, as Koreans insist, what about these people who have traditionally used the same name, Tokai? It is inevitable that they will be confused and embarrassed. Do Koreans consider the inconvenience of these people? In addition to the Sea of Japan, there are many areas on the earth that have place names bearing the names of neighboring countries. The French said, the English Channel should be called the French Channel. Do you bother other people by making unadulterated claims? The British said, the Irish Sea should be called the British Sea. Do you make a self-centered claim? How about Americans? Do you insist that the Gulf of Mexico should be called the American Man? What's even stranger is that Koreans never tried to rename the Yellow Sea to West Sea. Never tried to change the East China Sea into the Nankai, it is trying to rename only the Sea of Japan to Tokai. Conclusion 2. How to call their local sea. The desperate efforts of Koreans to make people all over the world accept it has nothing to do with Japanese imperialism, rather, their small Chinese thought, ethnocentrism, self-centeredness, childhood, it is related to the feeling of inferiority to Japan. 3. Neither the United Nations nor the International Hydrographic Organization has so far decided to write both the Sea of Japan and the Tokai. As in the protest email sent by Koreans to crew, they decided that the National Highway and the International Hydrographic Organization decided to write the Sea of Japan and the Tokai together. I'm spreading the story like that. This is also a complete mistake. Certainly, the United Nations and the International Hydrographic Organization have issued resolutions like the one on the left. It is a fact that multiple names of a certain sea area have been written together. But these resolutions it applies only to sea areas such as the sea and the sea shared by multiple countries. It is not diverted to the high seas such as the Sea of Japan and the Pacific Ocean. Let's say these resolutions also apply to the high seas like the Pacific Ocean. At that time, various neighboring countries in the Pacific Ocean, their local place names should be used internationally. When you insist on a country like North Korea or North Korea, do I have to write multiple names together to call the Pacific Ocean? In fact, the name Sea of Japan should be changed to Tokai or something. South Korea's claim that the Sea of Japan and the Tokai should be listed together, it was rejected at the 2007 International Hydrographic Organization General Assembly in Monaco. The International Hydrographic Organization's publication, The Boundary Between the Ocean and the Sea, which defines the official names of the world's waters, is the only official name for the area as still defined as the Sea of Japan. United Nations Conference on the Standardization of Place Names held in August 2007, but similar proposals from South Korea and North Korea have been rejected as usual. In addition, on March 10, 2004, the UN Secretariat responded to an inquiry from the government of Japan. Sea of Japan is an internationally standard place name. He replied that it would be used as a standard name in official UN documents. Also, if there is a dispute over the designation of a terrain, for unfounded claims that multiple names are correct, the addition of place names violates international practice and violates the neutrality of the United Nations. Fairness and neutrality can only be maintained if customary is followed. He clearly stated that he would follow the current practice of writing Sea of Japan alone. Conclusion 3. Despite many years of relentless schemes by South Korea and North Korea, the United Nations and the International Hydrographic Organization have abolished the international standard name, Sea of Japan, and there is no fact that both the Sea of Japan and the Tokai are allowed. Unfortunately, because of the enthusiastic and relentless propaganda of the Koreans, currently, the Sea of Japan and the Tokai are listed together in a quarter of the world's publications and products. We Japanese are K-pop idols from all over the country and Korean drama actors. The true appearance of South Korea hidden behind the forged smile, you have to notice it early. Before everything is robbed. What did you think? You can see the facts being twisted by the lies and fabrications peculiar to Koreans. When they see the Japanese as weak, just like in WW2, they are willing to do obvious betrayal. The Sea of Japan naming issue, Takeshima, and the Northern Territories. These lies that scatter them, it is important to make corrections with proper evidence and facts one by one. The fact is our strongest weapon on the side of Japan, the Kusanagi no Tsurugi. In order not to use this fact, the strongest weapon for Japan, we replaced the problem. I'm trying to pull the Japanese down from the ring of facts versus lies. What they want to create the composition is that Japanese and Koreans are arguing about the place name. This is because if they antagonize, the center, in this case, both the Sea of Japan and the Tokai, can be finally taken. However, the issue of naming the Sea of Japan is the problem of common sense in the world versus selfishness of one country. It should not be a matter of confrontation of Japanese will versus Korean will. What they say over and over again is too unreasonable, upset us, lure us on the same ring. The intention to draw the proposition against their claim from our mouth is hidden. We are trying to subtly replace the problem in order to realize the parallel writing. For all issues in Japan and Korea, Japan always stands on the side of the world, always on the side of the facts. In the asymmetrical framework of world versus Korea and facts versus lies, I think we have to make claims and disseminate information about Japan. We must crush their lie with the weapon of fact. As long as they keep lying, it will never be profitable. I have to let them know. Lie like exhaling. The Japanese, and people all over the world, should never forget this word. Don't be fooled by Korean lies. That's all.